Grand Rising, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. Today, we wanted to kind of do some tarot readings or some oracle cards, not tarot necessarily. I did put tarot on the thing, but yeah, I would say oracle daily message to be more precise. And I have the sacred geometry cards. Pretty cool, has some pretty cool designs. I guess this person gets like downloads of different geometric figures and stuff like that and has put them into a card deck, which is pretty cool. Um, so we thought we would just pull some cards and just kind of discuss where we're at, energetically, um, and maybe the cosmos and stuff like that. So we can start. Do you want to go? Maybe you can pull first, Pam.
Okay. I'm gonna use the shadow, shadow and light,
Uh, uh, uh,
because we were just talking a little bit
not the
about some of
shadow.
their shadow stuff. So just
Yeah.
seeing what maybe is coming up in the collective. Wow, this active deck, they're like flying out everywhere.
The whole entire deck is the shadow. We're
All
going
right. All right.
through.
So let's see. There's 5 cards in that flew out.
Wow, 5.
Yeah. So the first one is like ghosts of the past
Mm,
returning for a time.
mm,
So with that, right, like looking at the past of relationships, of people, of wounds, situations, themes. So cycles repeating, right? Whatever wasn't healed and um I would say outgrown, right? Because when you're still
mhm,
in a frequency of a same story, like, right, it kind of continues to play out until you close the chapter and change the narrative. um so really, especially with Mercury retrograde right now, bringing up situations, the past usually returns so that we can reflect, so that we can pause and take some time to really discover new things so
mhm,
that it
mhm.
can change.
Yep.
Um, with that came out Kali, the goddess Kali. From death comes rebirth.
Mm,
So a lot of intense energy may cause frustration and overwhelm. Um, it's usually when the ego feels bombarded with the frustration and the stress and whatnot. Like it doesn't, right? It doesn't want to go forward anymore. It doesn't want to go down this path. So it's where like little, like small ego deaths kind of occur. So
mhm,
looking at what we're letting go of, what doesn't need to be part of our lives any longer, so that a rebirth, a new path, a new narrative, a new situation can emerge. And then with that is count your blessings. And it's really
mhm.
about just being in gratitude. So even
Gratitude.
though things are really intense, there, energy may be shaking up situations in our lives, and again, trying to just figure out how to navigate it, is just going back to your blessings and what you have to actually be grateful for. Because when you shift your perspective and you focus on all of the positive things that you've created, that you enjoy, that you love, and you realize the universe is giving you blessings, when you navigate from that space of gratitude, it allows for more blessings and more gratitude to come in. And then the last two were together, they fell out together. And it's cool because it's both of them have like angel wings, fairy wings. And one is the lantern fairy, who is walking through darkness with a
Mm,
light, and it's about a clear solution coming. And then the other one is snow angel, and the signs are already with you. And so there's like a snow angel standing there, but there's a snow angel imprint behind her in the snow. So that is the universe really trying to guide us. So the answers that we're seeking, the problems, that we're trying to solve, we don't need to force it. We don't need to force any problem solving. We need to just like kind of surrender and trust and know that everything is unfolding and happening for a reason, and that in divine timing, you're gonna like you'll get that download, you'll get that creative insight, the solution will come, you'll just kind of know what to do and how to move forward. And then just looking like for signs, like you were just talking about the geometry, right?
Mhm, mhm,
There's
mhm,
languages all around us, whether it's shapes, numbers, colors, music. um so the universe is guiding us. So when you ask for those signs, when you pay attention to those signs, when you notice synchronicities, listen to those, apply those, trust your intuition, because the universe is guiding us through this intense time of healing the past so that we can close out chapters and move forward into new beginnings with gratitude and blessings, for the path that we're on.
mhm. Yeah, that sounds really it's actually on point, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like the old is resurfacing. And then it's like, okay, are we going to continue that or are we going to put it to death, right? Because there has to be this clearing for the rebirth. So it's like a good progression.
Yeah.
And one of them that we talked about earlier that I want to kind of just hit on, maybe talk about for a moment is gratitude. That
Mm,
I think we just it's it's talked about often, but are we really, really practicing gratitude? Like that's to me, that's a question. Like because sometimes I forget too. We get so caught up in like the hardships and okay, we're in a trying time. This is like no mystery to anybody out there, but we're going through a lot of collective crap right now,
mm,
and we feel it. I mean, we can feel the weight of it, and so it's so easy to get drawn into fear mongering too. And I think a lot of what they put out there, right, is like fear, 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 fear. So there's a lot of people living in fear. I can tell you the other day, I just went to the store, an example, and this man, he bought I thought he was buying food for the homeless shelter. That's what I didn't know, right? So he had these cans and cans and cans of things. And I was like, in my heart of hearts, I was like, oh, this person is like give you so and then I just asked him, I said, "Oh, so is it for work?" And he's like, "I'm stocking up." But he said it in a way that it was like he was afraid that something major was gonna happen, like, there was
right,
this fear that I get it, and it happens all the time, right? You have these people go to the grocery stores, a big storm's coming in, something like that, or there's
right.
the war or whatever it was, and I just thought about this person, I was like, what are they holding on to that they're so afraid that they think something's gonna happen? Like, they must be sheltering themselves or something. It was just weird. The energy was very strange, and my sister and I were both like, whoa, what was that about?" Because he got very upset about it, the question, but I really
Yeah.
did. I thought he was doing it for work. I thought he worked at, like, a homeless shelter, and I'm saying that because I think that we're carrying this collective weight of fear, pain, sorrow, suffering. We're chained, and I feel like we forget to see the goodness in life, because as soon as he did that, I thought, "Well, I'm not afraid. I don't need to stock up on food. There's food all around us. There's an abundance all around us. I'm just so grateful that I can breathe. I'm so grateful I can see the trees. Like, I'm just so grateful to be alive and here, that we have access to food here. It is kind of easy for us or whatever, but that collective fear keeps us from the gratitude, keeps us from that positivity, right? And that's kind of what you were talking about earlier. Like, why are we always so focused on the negative? Like, we're hardwired for that, I know. And we kind of can just go down that road. Well, this needs to get better. This needs to do this. It's like, but does it? Like, what's all the good that we're doing? And what are we grateful for? What can we celebrate? You know what I mean? And there's so much beauty in this world. Like, you woke up today, you're breathing, your heart is working. There are people right now who are laying in beds. Like, I have a friend who's laying in a hospital bed right now, and their heart is not working the way it should. And you know what? He's still grateful. He's still happy that he has that. So it's like you can find gratitude in anything. And I think that's what helps us to maybe transcend these narratives, is focusing on that part, focusing on good. Yeah, it's scary to change your life or to have, like, things fall apart. There's a tower event, your life is changing, you don't know what's next, and you have to let go, and there's a lot of fear, but there's also a lot of greatness and gratitude that you're letting go of narratives that don't serve you. You know what I mean? So it's like the gratitude I feel is like the big one. I just I really, and I think I'm working on that too. What am I grateful for? You know? And then focus on that, the silver linings, and putting to rest the things that don't serve me and focusing on the things that do. Like I just it's so hard. That's not an easy one, right? In the collective.
Right.
So, yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to say that because that's
Yeah.
kind of what came up for me, is just being grateful and focusing on the silver lining. That's kind of what you were
Uh,
talking about earlier. Focus on
yeah,
the good,
absolutely. I
you
actually
know?
did a reading for a woman once using because that's one of the decks I use in my readings. And the gratitude card came up, and I can't remember like the question exactly, but she was just smiling and happy because she had been consciously with intention using gratitude to remove blocks, and it
Mm,
was reaffirming that for her, that like your gratitude, your state of gratitude is helping you elevate out of, these
mhm,
lower vibrational kind of energies, and bringing you up into a higher space. um and so like that stayed with me, because when she just saw it and she smiled and she's like, I've been doing it with intention, and like, so I feel like it's just proof, right? What that kind of law of attraction, or whatever, what you put out, what is what you get back. So yeah, it's kind of beautiful when the cards confirm those
mhm, mhm,
messages for
mhm,
us.
mhm, mhm, absolutely. Yeah, and the death and the rebirth, like Kali and all that stuff is really important.
Yeah.
Um, but to not repeat the patterns, that's the hard part, or to know when to let go or change the narrative as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So, but I do feel like that's kind of what's happening in the collective. A bunch of shit is surfacing for people. And I think if you go back, I would say the start of the collective really opening up to that is COVID, when COVID happened and everybody had to just deal with each other.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I laugh because, my god, people were I don't
The
sorry.
collective was crazy.
We don't we don't, because okay, here's the deal. Let's just think about the family unit, right? It's just in my head, I start laughing at stuff because I'm like, "My god." The parents typically are at work, kids typically go to school. So, maybe, they spend more time with their work people than they do with their own family, right? Mostly. And so you tolerate the people that you live with, right? Or you really love them. Some people really do love each other, but sometimes it's just like, well, we can tolerate each other because, well, I don't see you but for maybe 3 hours a day anyway, right? Because then it's like you get home, you make your meal, you go to bed, right? And and the kids were at school all day, they come home and then they eat and go to bed, and then I have to get up and do it all over again, right? So I'm tolerating you, but when COVID hit, some of these people are like, "I don't even like you. I don't even know, like, I don't even wanna be around you. What am I doing with
Right.
my life?" And and what it did is it just drew up this, and I'm just laughing because it did to everybody. Like, everybody had to face their relationships, you know what I mean? Nobody was able to get away from that. Like, the entire world had to
Right.
face their relationships because the whole world was like, this was a world thing.
Right.
Um
Lockdown.
Exactly. And it changed the dynamic of relationships in a huge way. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
just completely exposed, these narratives, right? And it's like, who do we like? Who do we not like? Who we let go of? How do we maneuver through? And so I think we're just dealing with this, like, the repercussions or the backlash or the aftermath or whatever word you want to use of COVID. You know what I mean? In the collective. It's just kinda surfaced this. narrative up, and it's like now we're looking at relationships, our jobs, our relationship to our jobs. What do we want? How do we walk away? How do we sever these things, and Kali like is a really good goddess to work with. Um because again, it's that death and rebirth. Like you have to die those tiny ego deaths like you were talking about, because now you're trying to figure out who the hell you are. I mean, it shook everything up. I know with COVID for me, everything, my whole life, my whole everything shifted and changed. And I'm still feeling that energy from that, the backlash from it and what it means now. I'm barely emerging in this new identity, just barely. So I'm just like the baby coming up from these old patterns and severed them completely. Where it's like this narrative I can no longer be tied to this narrative. Um and it's crazy, but more meaningful relationships, more you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, I
So
agree.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like when you
But
let go of the things that are holding you back, um,
yep.
yeah, it's you find more alignment
Mhm.
of where you're supposed to go and where you are.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. Just think about COVID and how people just didn't like each other. They're like, "How did I was tolerating you, now I don't really like you, so I think I'm gonna go." You know what I mean? It's like and then some of these people were trapped in, like, poor things. Like, they just didn't have time to pause to really reflect and look at, like, what they had built or the relationships that they had or you know what I mean? Everything was go, 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 go. And now the whole world dynamic has shifted and changed in terms of that. So just it's a trip. It's just a trip. But I think I do like the gratitude. What were the other cards? I can't remember the other last two.
Oh, the signs are with you and a clear
Oh,
solution.
cool.
So sometimes I think we get stuck in like the problem solving of it, right? And we just kind of
Mhm.
will solve problems in the same way. Or we
Yep.
try to force a solution when it's
Yep.
just not time. We have to go through the uncomfortableness. We have to go through the transition. There are lessons we have to learn. So you can't always have a solution right away. It takes time for it to come and play out. And it's just
Mhm.
part of the divine timing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You do gotta let that's the hard part, the surrender and the emerging. And it's funny collectively because I think we are going through that. And it's funny because it got Gardens of Delight was the first card that I pulled from my oracle deck was the sacred geometry. Um, it's just these beautiful flowers and how they're emerging, and that's like perfect, right? There's this dragon that's on the card as well, and it's like these flowers are just emerging from this back of the dragon. But and then there's like this fire in like the valley that's kind of wielding probably these. And I'm not sure. Do you know what those flowers are? I'm sure if you know what those are.
No, I'm
No.
not sure. I
Um,
can't see it.
I'm not sure what those flowers are, but it might say it in the book. But it's funny because that's what we were talking about is emerging. And I think we're at this place of emergence where people are starting to surrender and understand that yes, so we take determinism, free will, all these concepts and ideas, and the reality is that we let the universe just emerge within us and radiate outside of us, right? And just kind of circulate around us and move through us. That's, you start to blossom. And I feel like a lot of people are starting to get that. They're starting to, or at least I'm hearing it, from other people. Like I'm just allowing things to surface and emerge and surrender and let the universe guide it. So that's Gardens of Delight. And it is delightful. If you allow the universe to take the wheel, there's a couple things I think that show up, and you can say what you think might show up. Um, you have to be patient. That word. I wish I could throw it away, but it's
Yeah, patience is a big one on the journey of being human.
Especially if you're letting the universe build the garden. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And letting yourself just surrender and letting it bloom. It's the patience is the hard one because there's cycles. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's times when you're planting seeds and you have to cultivate them and you have to, you know, nurture them and let them develop and then wait for them to emerge and then they have to grow in that emergent state as well to fully blossom
Right.
and then the cycle goes on, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
so that is hard. That is so patience is a big one, I think, on that one. But to receive that and like you said, surrender to that. And then the next one is receiving. So that's like a perfect like follow-up to that. It's just a woman with her hands open, stars in her hands, and then stars kind of moving up out of her head. So kind of going up the chakras into the cosmos. There's like these DNA spirals around her as well. It's like this radiated light of just receiving what the universe has to give you. Um, so perfect alignment, right? And then and then the last one, of course. Ah, sometimes you just pull a card, you're just like, you gotta love him. It's together. So you're allowing yourself to bloom. So it's like the collective is like starting to emerge, right? And it's about receiving the gifts that are coming to you. So not forcing, but just receiving what is yours. And that receiving, before I go into together, receiving too, um, is also knowing what's not for you, right? And I think you and I have had these conversations quite a bit where it's like we get these sparks of opportunity and then it's like, nope, didn't go through. And then we're like, well, it's not for me. And you're just kind of surrendering, right? But in the past, I think things would have been so, I don't know how you feel about that. Like when opportunities show up and then they kind of go away. Um, it would just be a blow to the heart for me sometimes. And I'm like, am I not good enough? Am I this and that? Instead of seeing it as that's not for me. It wasn't for me. There's something else there that's for me. And there's something for everybody because there's so much, right? There's so much abundance. Um, so it's the receiving of that abundance and allowing yourself to blossom and emerge and receive the abundance and what's for you, but also letting go of that that's not for you. And that's everything. Relationships and jobs and whatever it is, let it go. Let it go because something whatever's gonna emerge, like, I can just tell you the last couple days, what's emerging for me is exactly for me, to the T. I have not forced anything. Things are just coming out, right? And I'm like, "Wow, this is kinda cool. I've been patient for for 3 months." Okay, I know that's not a long time. For me, that's like a lifetime. Um 3 or 4 months, right? So there's that. So the emergence of receiving this energy, right? And hands open, heart open, throat open, all of your chakras or points on your body just completely open to receiving all the energy that's flowing through you to magnetize and manifest the things that are meant for you. Specifically for your DNA, specifically for your code, right? The gene keys too. Like I see a lot of the gene keys in this card too, because it's like your DNA was pre-programmed, predestined to receive the gifts that you were supposed to receive. And then together is the last card, and it's a man and a woman, and they're standing with their arms spread. Um, and we have both the sacred masculine triangle represented in here and then these circles that are kind of radiating out too, and then some kind of like lightning, um, and then the um the flower of life, and it says together. And so, that's like the perfect card. We can't do it alone. We have to do it together. And a lot of it is in harmony with our own internal. We talk a lot about that internal, external, I'm sorry, internal feminine and masculine energies that exist within us. We can't receive fully until we've harmonized those and balanced out those energies inside of us. And that has been such a huge thing. And once we do it on the internal, collectively, we can do it externally and on the bigger scale in relationships, in community, and then it just expands and ripples out. So I think these were really perfect cards, actually. I kind of like them. It's like yours were the shadow, and mine were like the brighter side of like emergence into receiving your divine gifts, what's meant for you, and then figuring out how to do that with other people, but first within yourself and then with other people so that it can radiate outward and manifest outward into the collective. There you go.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
Mhm, mhm. Really cool.
Mm,
It's like a pretty good progressive theme.
yeah. And I was thinking when you were talking about the first card with the blooming, like we've
Mhm,
just reached the peak of summer
mhm,
here in
mhm,
the northern hemisphere, and
mhm, mhm,
right, like
mhm.
gardens are blooming, all of those things. But also like that internal garden of what we create within our mind and
Mhm.
whatnot, and like our projects and all those things. So if you think of yourself as a garden, it's
Yep.
like, what do you need to weed? What do you need,
Mhm.
to let go of that's not maybe a healthy
Yep.
plant, or, a healthy idea, a healthy thing for you. Um, so that, yeah, we can, I like that, the receiving. And when you were talking about like the card on the together with the lightning, even,
Mhm.
right? There's that kind of like stormy
Yep.
energy, that intense energy that's trying to bring us together, trying to unite us. And it's like, if you can stand through the storm, if you can kind of get through that chaos with an open heart, right? And not shut down and not like push away and pull away and isolate and all of those things. Um, that together kind of feeling, yeah, the internal, and then it appears in the external. Yeah, that's
Boy, is
beautiful.
that hard, right? The like not pulling away, not closing down the heart, man. Woof.
Yeah.
I have been doing some major heart work. I did not, I can tell you this, I did not have a clue. I mean, I kind of did, but not nearly as much realize how closed off my heart is. Like I just didn't know. And I didn't understand. Get out, or they need to do stuff in your room. Okay, I'm on a podcast right now. Thanks. I know, but I'm okay. Sorry if they have to come in. So sorry. Apparently somebody's here to do something. But I can tell you that that my heart, is literally the hardest thing for me to open up, and I didn't realize how blocked it was. I just didn't have a clue. I had no idea. Like I was like, yeah, my heart's open, blah blah blah. Not really. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
It's open when I want it to be, but fully to be vulnerable and open because I'm vulnerable and I talk about my life on here. And, vulnerability and heart stuff is really important. But this was like beyond, I'm sorry. I think somebody's here to do maintenance.
Nothing like Mercury retro. Oh, yeah. No, the heart is definitely such a vulnerable energy field, right? Because with that chakra, the heart connects to another heart, and so you got that quantum entanglement. It's a really interesting chakra. um when you start to like dive in and maybe study it, and then get to attuned with your own heart space. um but yeah, I don't think a lot of people recognize how shut down their hearts are until it's triggered to open, and then usually that fear and that vulnerability. So with that, if anything, I'll just pull a couple of chakra ones, because I just got this brand new chakra oracle deck, because I did a class on chakras recently, and I do energy healing for people around the chakras to balance them. um, so looking at collectively, The root with abundance. And you had talked about that, like the lack of abundance kind of mentality that, is the opposite of gratitude when people are living in a fear and don't feel like they have enough.
Mhm,
So really with abundance and the root, just seeing what you are feeling protected, and because with the root, right, it's about safety, protection, being provided for. So just looking at like abundance and how that's arriving. And then there's a throat chakra with truth, and this
mhm,
one has like the scales, and one scale is on fire and one scale is like water. So balancing, I think, the emotions, right, balancing our fuel and our fire and our emotional state, but speaking our truth and just really communicating our internal truth, not saying things to
mhm,
hurt people, not spreading lies and deceit, but just being honest and open about our internal state, which can be very vulnerable and scary. And then there's visualization with the third eye. So again, going to like intuition and the, what you consciously with intention want to manifest, right? As well as just trusting your own intuition. Um, and then an earth star chakra of grounding. And it's
mhm,
just the roots of a tree, really. So
mhm,
feeling strong like a tree in ourselves when we feel grounded, when we feel safe and secure in a space. So looking at them together, I think it's about really for the collective with the chakra energy, feeling grounded and secure to be able to grow, to be able to dig into the earth through the darkness, through, the unpleasant things that happen, but knowing that we grow through the dirt, we grow through the darkness. And then we also, like the branches, right? Branches break off in stormy weather, but there's growth, there's flowering that happens with trees, there's fruit that is nourished. Um, so, looking at that with abundance and how abundance is showing up in your space, because abundance is more than just money, too.
mhm,
Like an abundance of friendship, an abundance of support and love, an abundance of just like food and being, seen and heard and those types of things. So, abundance isn't always just money and finances, but just speaking our truth on what we're visualizing for ourselves so that we can
mhm,
feel a strong sense of grounded protection, abundant life, energy flowing within and around us.
mhm, mhm. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I think so. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I had a little breakdown there with the communication and I guess I had to do something in my room or whatever. Anyway, maintenance. But yes, I was talking about the heart. And I want to spend some time just talking about that or going back to that because I had to cut it kind of short. I was like, but opening up the heart, I don't know. I would say this, maybe people think they're opening their heart. And I'm not saying they're not, because some people wear their heart on their sleeve. But when you're not wearing your heart on your sleeve and you have it so protected and you think that you're opening it up, it's like, are you truly opening it up? Or just giving pieces of that without fully connecting or opening. I could tell you that I personally wasn't, and I thought I was, and it's not until you're connected, like you said, to another person, right? Or you're truly working through it with another person, or you're trying to heal with another person. Because like my heart can be open by myself, right? Like I could be like, yes, by myself, but then when you're with another person in front of them and you're having to really open up completely to something outside of you, then you realize, wow, I've been protecting this heart for so long that I haven't let anybody in. Um, and it's not a bad thing, you know what I mean? I think it's a good thing. I think it's good to have the protection or whatever for yourself. But not to the point where you can't, the energy in the chakras, right, doesn't move up. So I think a lot of the solar plexus stuff is really important. The grounding, the rooting, the one that you brought up in terms of like rooting and grounding, which is such an important concept, right? I always talk about 100 eyes. Of course, kung fu comes up for me because 100 eyes, it's like, it starts with the roots. Um, and it starts with the pulling up and, yeah, growing down into the darkness, but also taking the nutrients from the darkness, right? Taking what's needed, right? And transforming it up and moving it up your chakras, right? Into the root, like you said, where the root and then the sacral, like just moving that energy up and then moving it up from there to the solar plexus. But to me, it seems like well, for my own journey, it seems like the hardest part was the solar plexus to the heart, because that right there, you've taken all the nutrients, you've moved it up, and then the solar plexus is the will to do it. But then it has to sort of radiate through the heart energy. That heart energy has to open up to it, literally, because it's the vibratory energy that's magnetizing the things to you. It's the thing that's vibrating, the thing that you're asking, right? Because if you thought about it, like this, pulling it from the cosmos, because you have the microcosm and macrocosm, and at the macrocosm, where you're pulling it through the third eye from the cosmos into the head, down into the heart, and then radiating that out to manifest comes through your throat, right? In your words. But to pull the nutrients from the root up to through the sacral into the solar plexus and into the heart, that is a whole other connection, which for me, I'm realizing, like, holy crap, like, I've been pulling, I think, a lot from like the macrocosm, which is probably why I'm always thinking in big systems, because that's where my heart's radiating, but never from the microcosm, which is that sexual energy, all of that, the stuff that we talk about, like pulling that and then radiating that out. And it is the heart that connects the both. So it's just, to me, it's like crazy because it's all working inside of me. And I did sort of talk about this, or I actually just put a post up, and the post was about, you know, we are the stars, right? The cards, the stars, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can go and we can reach out to that and we can look to that and we could try to understand that. But at the end of the day, we have it within us. We don't even need to go to the stars and to the cards and to all that, because it's in us. And when we deeply connect, because I was just thinking about this, Pam, that's why I'm telling you, because and our listeners, I was like, holy crap, like this is why I've felt so connected. Because the astrologers, all this stuff, all the stars, the cards, and we do, and they're good tools, but it's all within us. And I felt that for the first time. I could feel it all within me without, I don't need to consult the oracles. I don't need to consult the stars. I don't need to, because it's all inside of me. It exists within me because we are it and it is us. And it was the chakras, right, that really opened up that for me, with the sacral to the heart, which was just like, holy crap. And I'm still learning how to open that up and be vulnerable, to the point where I was able to astro project to my friend, and he felt it, which to me is really crazy. And that's my friend who's like sick right now, and not feeling good. And he was like, "Oh my God, you're with me." And I said, "I am with you." He's like, "I can see you. I can," and to the point where he can hear the messages that I'm sending him without me even having to call him.
It's beautiful.
I mean, it's just crazy that, because that was the missing link for me in my transcendence, because I was like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good." There is so much work happening between those 2 points, and the heart
Mm, Absolutely.
I'm really understanding because I know this, like, I knew the information, right? We know this, like, sages, time, but when you embody it, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
It's just a
absolutely.
whole other thing that I know that the heart is the center for transmutation. I know it's the place that vibrates the energy and magnetizes it. I understand how powerful the heart is, but was I really using my heart to its full potential? No, absolutely not.
Mm,
And I'm learning how to use my heart to its full potential.
right.
And it's crazy. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just crazy. You don't need anything else. You just don't need anything else. It's just crazy. I'm like, I don't what do I need? Like I have my heart. My heart is like this energy vibrate. It's like boom, boom. I mean, it's all it
right,
does. It's it's
right,
constantly. You know what I mean? And I'm like, holy
right,
crap, like it's crazy. The embodiment of it is just crazy. And I'm like, I think I'm able to now connect to people across time and space, which is not something I mean, I have, but I think they're feeling it to a
right.
point where it's heightened, especially those that I'm like, "Okay, I'm intentionally gonna connect with you." It's crazy. That's all
Mm,
I know. So I'm sorry, I
yeah.
had to go on that little
No,
tangent
no,
because
it's beautiful. I'm glad you
I'm
shared
like,
that. No, I can
yeah.
relate because I feel like I was the other way. I was, well, no, the same, I guess, realistically, because I've always been like the mind upward, right? The crown, the soul star, so learning to anchor and ground was truly a test and my own kind of journey path, a lesson I had to learn and master. And now I feel very integrated and whole, and I feel like I can travel all three realms, right? The underworld, the middle world, and the upper world. And I had that experience actually this weekend where I was very much in between the physical and the spiritual planes,
Mhm.
and I kept anchoring myself. And for a moment, there was a little bit of fear of the unknown of where's this journey going to take me, because it's a vast ocean, right, of
Right.
universal consciousness out there. And there's some low vibrational, dark energies. Um, and with that ego fear of the unknown, I instantly had that heartfelt reminder of you're safe, you're protected, you're loved, and it automatically shifted me into a higher vibrational plane of universal consciousness, source, love, oneness, whatever. And so I was able to sit in that space in between energy realms and like just kind of navigating this human spiritual journey integrationally at once. And it was really cool, and with that be able to hold space for other people that were around me, that were having similar experiences. And when you were talking about the heart, I kind of shuffled the chakra deck again, and I thought, okay, a heart, if we're going to look at the heart, like let's look at the heart. And I happened to flip it over to the bottom of the deck, and there was a heart card and it was forgiveness.
Oh,
So, like, I thought that was pretty in sync and pretty cool, right? And I think that's the biggest thing when we get jaded by other people, we close off the heart. And forgiveness is so hard for the ego because we don't want to forgive other people. But really, what it comes to is self love, self worth, and forgiveness for yourself. Like when you forgive other people, there's that mirroring, right, where you're being able to forgive them, but it really truly is for you. And then that shifts, going back to that first pulling of 5 cards, the death, rebirth, and all of those things of the past. When we're able to just forgive and let go, it changes the narrative. So now we don't have to play out those cycles and patterns with new people. It changes the whole dynamic. So, like you said, now it elevates us for more meaningful relationships because you're not bringing up the things that were untrustworthy or hurtful, where forgiveness had to be a part of that narrative. So it's pretty cool.
I know it is pretty cool. It is, and I feel my spiritual power more than ever, which is just it's heightened, and that was like the missing key. And it's still there. I still have a lot of work to do for sure because um I could feel it in the solar plexus, man. It gets stuck there. And but now I understand. I know what it is. I understand what the energy is, which before I didn't know how to wield it. I didn't know how to move it. I didn't know how to put it into my heart and let it radiate out. And so now I can use my heart for what it was meant for,
Mm,
you know, and I can start to really use my heart because I just didn't understand. I'm not even gonna lie. People were talking about that you would talk about your heart, and then I'd be like, and you know, and I'm like, you're like, I just feel this energy, and I'm like, why don't I feel anything? Is something wrong with me? I'm broken,
no,
and
you're not
and I'm like,
broken.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I feel my heart, you know, but that's how I felt, right? That was
Right.
the feeling. Like I was like, I feel my heart, but like these people are like talking like their hearts
Yeah.
are radiating, and I'm like, well,
Reminds
yeah,
me of the Grinch, honestly, right now. All I'm seeing is the Grinch who stole Christmas with his like little tiny heart, and then it grows, right, 3 times bigger. And like by the end, they're all happy. Like that's what's coming to me right now.
I could be the Grinch, although I love Christmas. But yeah, I think in a way, I was very good at because I do. My heart is it's big, but the like I said, from and I communicate a lot. So from the mind to the throat to the heart, perfect. I can pull stuff in from the macrocosm, but from the roots up,
Yeah.
it's stuck at the solar plexus. It was totally stuck there. So yeah, I think, you know, part of my heart was just it was closed off.
Mm,
It was closed. I was like,
yeah.
okay, like I feel heart energy, but like, you know, the way I hear people talk about, and my heart's radiating out, and I'm all, yeah, I felt that a couple times in my life, but let me be realistic with myself. Am I really feeling my heart fully? And the answer is no. And then I'm like, okay, why not? You know, why what's coming up, and the old narratives, the old stories, the protection, you know, the masculine protecting the heart, the inability to open it up because of fear, um because it might get hurt, because it might get broken,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right. And if
You
you're
know, so
disconnected, yeah, from the root chakra, right, there's no safety protection there.
that's correct, that's
Yeah.
absolutely correct,
Yeah.
where then the heart would be open from the third eye down. So, of course, it all sounds intellectual and beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, there is this beauty in the connection between that and my heart,
Mm,
but it didn't allow for meaningful, true relationships to blossom either.
yeah.
So, so that was totally missing. It
Right.
was. You know what it was, and I'm really realizing it now, you know, I'm getting it. There's a part of me that's getting it, and now it's like, holy shit, like what can I do with this heart of mine? My God, it's gonna I'm gonna
Well,
be
your
showing
heart
up
is your compass, too, right? Like when you listen to your heart and you follow the desires of what you want to experience and create, the heart is just such a beautiful, beautiful space to be within. But when there's nothing but like fear,
oh, yeah.
and it's like just shut down, like,
It
yeah,
all
it
becomes
ends to
dead.
be like more lonely and, we feel more isolated or unseen, unheard, unappreciated. And I think even the inner child is truly connected through like our heart and our high heart when we can tap into, curiosity and like innocence and playfulness, right? And laughter and joy. That's a heart based place to be in.
Absolutely. And now that I think now that I've done this, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna astral project everywhere. I'm
Right?
gonna be scaring people. Just kidding.
I have done that with intention. There's moments where I've meditated or been in, an altered state,
Uh-huh.
and like if I know I'm not going to see the person or be able to talk to them, I drop right into the heart, because that's where it just feels like pure intention, right?
Mhm,
It's that
mhm.
goodness, that love that I have, and I can't express it. I can't let it manifest in the physical, but I can
Mhm.
do like the whole Care Bear, the Care
Yeah,
Bear
I
stare, where they like shoot it out from the belly.
know.
So I just go into the heart and I let that energy, and same thing, like this is the person that I want to send, these messages to, or this information to. And sometimes it
Yep.
is forgiveness, or it's whatever healing needs to happen that can't happen through communication or physical connection and contact. So to drop into the heart is a beautiful way to maneuver. And with the chakras, from my own experience, the more you attune to your body and you understand your chakras, and you start working to, like you said, clear out wounded, stuck, dense energies, and get those wheels moving like healthy, organically, getting them in alignment with each other, our divine gifts, our psychic abilities, whatever you want to call it, it makes room for them to naturally start coming in. And I always feel like it's like a faucet where it will just be a slow drip, so that you're not overwhelmed. But then there's other times where like the faucet's turned on and it's just like massive, like flowing of energy. And that's where we get like upgrades and ascension symptoms. I've been having massive energy around my allergies, like since May. They've just been kicking my butt nonstop, and it had calmed down. But here, with this past week and Lionsgate, and just the energy that we're in astrologically, I know like my third eye and my crown are just, in my throat chakra as well. They're all just kind of working through the pressure points of the allergies in my face. And so I'm like kind of excited about, all right, when I get through this and I clear it out, like how will my third eye expand more? Because now there's room for clean, healed energy to come in and create.
Absolutely.
Mm,
And I think connecting it that way helps people to understand the energy and how to move it.
mm,
And I think you said something drop into your heart, and for me, I'm moving up into my heart.
mm.
So it's kind of funny because I think there's maybe a two-pronged thing happening here, right? It's not just you drop, you actually pull up into, like you
Right.
emerge
Right.
into the
It's
heart
just
too.
finding a way to be present from your heart space. You're not in the
Yeah,
mind. You know what I mean? The mind is shut down. It's not trying to be logical and solve problems or make things up. You know what I mean? It's not the monkey mind. It's like there's silence there. You're just in your heart space. Whether you drop into it or rise into it, I think it's
right.
just being present with awareness from that chakra.
Yeah. So, and I think so I would say, emerging into or blossoming into, or, even seeing these visuals of like the lotus, and which have been such a huge, that has been coming to me so much. Like before, I was like, oh yeah, the lotus, the lotus, the lotus. But these are visuals that are actually emerging in my subconscious mind, right? I can see them so clearly. And I think it's because I'm blooming, right? I'm blooming. And a lot of it was pulling all of that from the roots, like starting with the roots, and pulling up that the nutrients that are needed so that I could blossom, so that the heart could open up and blossom. And just but the connection there, and it's really crazy because I'll tell you this, physiologically in the body, somatically, you will feel the shift because I can feel it in my solar plexus completely, and I even get like a stomach ache kind of
Yes.
when it's
Yep.
stuck.
Absolutely.
I get this, like, nauseous, and then, for you people, I don't know if you wanna know, I'm gonna tell you everything, but, then I have a movement because I'm like, it has to release that whatever's stuck there,
Right. Got to purge
and
it out.
you gotta purge it out, but and then it's able to move into my heart as
Mm,
pure energy.
right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, whatever's moving up is gonna be good and healthy for it. So I am really been working with the chakra energy internally and starting with the sexual energy and moving that up. And that has been one of the most powerful healing tools that I have
Mm,
ever tapped into. I
yeah.
mean, to the point where I'm not even getting pain in my uterus like I was before from cramps. So this energy, the sexual energy and pulling up from the roots and moving it up and allowing it to radiate through your body does heal you. And it
Right.
shows you what it did is it showed me where the blocks were in my chakra system. And it completely the energy would move up, but then you would release, right? So if you're looking from the sexual energy point where it was like people just release, and however they do that, right? So they can do it with a partner, themselves, whatever it is, they release the energy. And now I understand why it's good to harness that energy and hold on to it, because as I was moving it up and not abstaining, right, from releasing the energy, I felt that block in the solar plexus. I would have not understood that there was a block there unless I would have abstained. There's just no way, because I was releasing it and not letting it do its work of healing in the solar plexus into the heart. And honestly, I've been getting heart pain.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a block in my heart. I've been getting pains in my heart, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what is
Yeah.
that?" Like,
That's
my heart
so
is
common.
healthy. My heart is healthy. So
Yeah.
I know that it's not that I have to go to the doctor, something's wrong with me. I
Right.
work out, I'm healthy, I'm like, I eat right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why am I getting this pain in my heart?" And it's because 'cause it's been closed off
Right.
in that direction. It just
Absolutely.
has. It has, and I'm like, "I why am I doing that to myself?" You know?
It,
But it's
yeah.
scary. It's freaking
Yeah,
scary to
no,
open
I've
up.
definitely like when you work with the heart, like I felt mine stretching, like as if like someone had like fingers in there like pulling it open, or tingly sensations. So like I can tell by the way my heart gets pressure or like some kind of sensation, like if it's opening, if it's upgrading. Absolutely. And that's what I love about like the chakras, because the more you work with them and understand them in your own body, you start to really understand the symptoms that you're feeling. Because
Yep,
when they're shut off and they're closed down, right, that's what leads to illnesses and
yep,
diseases, like heart disease, heart failure, heart attacks, because people have shut down hearts. But
mhm.
once you're opening them and expanding them, that's totally normal to feel that. There have been times where I was like, holy shit, am I having a heart attack? But I was like in my late 30s. So,
Yep,
so I
yep,
know that I'm
yep,
not having a heart attack. It's the
yep,
heart chakra
yep,
opening further because of the healing work that I was doing, moving out the stuck, old,
yep,
wounded energy. So
yep.
that's beautiful. I love that. Like, even though it's intense and
It's
it can cause
intense,
panic.
but it is, but it's beautiful because
Yeah,
I'm really learning how to use my heart properly.
right.
Like, our body has a function, but the heart, like, I've always talked about the heart, and even in my older podcasts, I used to just be so intrigued with how, like, I always tell people, "How could you not think that there's a being that's greater than us?" Like, ho I don't understand how there could be these nothing existing, because the heart is just doing its thing. Like, we're not asking it to do it. It just does it. It's just beating. It beats for our entire life. Like, that's crazy. That's like a huge job. Like, it's just in there pumping right now. I'm not doing any I'm not making it. If I was responsible for making my heart pump, I'd be dead, because I'm just like, it just does it? And I'm like, "Whoa." And it's vibrating.
Yeah,
It's vibrating energy. It's
yeah,
it's pulsating an
Yeah.
energy force. And I understood this, but now I've embodied it. Like, I'm
Right.
embodying this, which is totally different. Conceptually, we get it, but when you embody it, holy Jesus, I'm almost like, "What's gonna happen?" Like, I don't you know what I mean? Like you said, there's probably hidden gifts in there that I didn't even realize did exist, do you
Right.
know? Which one of them is being able to connect and spiritually talk to people without even talking to them, like telekinesis,
Right.
just a trip. I
Yep.
just so anyway, I know this was like not the full topic, but I was like when the heart came up and stuff like that, and that's been such a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
It has, and it's very hard. And you know, I do have my shield in case I need to block it, but I'm allowing it to fully open up now because I'm safe. I don't have
Right.
what it, no one's trying to like, okay, so someone does something that's not good or maybe even deception, right? Even too, right? I have my shield. I can cut them off.
Right. I don't
That
need to
doesn't
close my heart
change
down. Yeah.
it doesn't change the integrity of the person that I am. I know
Right.
who I am. I trust who I am. I know where I'm going. And
Right.
what other people do is not my problem.
Right.
I can't I don't have time right now. Like, I'm ready. It's go time, right? It's go time. That's how I feel. It's go time. It's time to go. I
Right.
don't have time for all this other stuff, and it is beautiful. So, anyway, I just had to say that because there's a lot of insights for me today, so
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
not
cool.
but it is an hour is up. So, I don't know, do you have anything else to say?
I'm just gonna Oh, that's funny. I just pulled one other card from a different deck. I figured just to kind of close with. And it was the crown chakra. And this wasn't even from the chakra deck. So I think the chakras are just wanting a chance to write, to
Mhm,
have awareness. But with the crown, it's that unlimited self, right? Reaching into
mhm,
your higher
mhm.
high, the soul, the higher self, whatever you want to like
Yep,
label it, but opening up to like you said, that macro, to the
mhm.
universal
Absolutely.
consciousness.
Uh-huh.
And through the crown, it's about like being able to attain life purpose, to be able to
Mm,
bring that and anchor that in being connected, right, with this higher sense of self, your spiritual self into your human body self, and knowing like your purpose. um so yeah, and then for just people out there, right, wear your crown, have that self-worth, that
mm.
self-love, have value for yourself and your life and the reason why you're here. And just, wear your crown on your head and don't let anyone knock it off. I guess that's my final words of advice.
If you could see me right now, I'm putting the crown on my head. Okay.
Right?
There you go. I have my crown on. All right, so there you have it. We love you. We will see you next week. I am starting my PhD program this week, so I am sure I'm going to have just so much to share from all that
Mm.
class, exploration theory, just different readings and reflections and all that kind of stuff. So very excited to bring that information to our listeners.
Yeah,
So there you
absolutely.
go. Have a great day. Also, we have the Goddess Circle. I didn't open up with this, so I do apologize for hopefully those who listen all the way to the end. This is always a long podcast, but um, Women of Consciousness, go on. We are doing a retreat, virtual retreat. We also have our Goddess Circle coming up Friday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time for women who are wanting to be part of the Goddess Circle. You're welcome to join, and we will be talking about harnessing tantric or sexual goddess energy. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, we love you and have a good day.